Struggles are an unavoidable part of life, whether it's financial pressure, emotional pain, academic stress, or career setbacks. Everyone faces difficult seasons. The difference between those who break and those who grow is not luck. It is mindset, habits, and emotional strength. The first and most important step in learning how to stay strong in struggles is acceptance. Many people underestimate this stage because it feels simple, but in reality it requires deep emotional honesty. When difficulties enter life, the natural reaction is often denial. We try to ignore the problem, delay thinking about it, or convince ourselves that things will magically improve without action. This mental resistance creates more stress because the mind is constantly fighting reality instead of working with it. Acceptance is not about liking the situation or being comfortable with it. It is about recognizing what is happening clearly and without distortion, so that energy is not wasted on denial or avoidance. When a person accepts their struggle, they stop feeding unnecessary emotional chaos. The mind becomes less scattered because it is no longer caught between this shouldn't be happening and why me. Instead, attention shifts toward what can actually be controlled. This shift is powerful because struggle often feels overwhelming, not only because of the situation itself, but because of the mental resistance attached to it. Once acceptance begins, the weight of that resistance slowly reduces, making space for clarity. Acceptance also allows emotional stability to develop. Without it, emotions swing between frustration, fear, and helplessness. With it, a person begins to observe their situation more objectively. This does not remove pain, but it makes the pain more manageable. It becomes easier to think, plan, take action, instead of remaining stuck in emotional reaction. Many people who overcome difficult phases in life often look back and realize that the turning point was when they finally stopped running from reality and started facing it directly. Another important aspect of acceptance is that it prevents energy loss. Fighting reality consumes mental and emotional strength that could be used for problem solving. When someone keeps asking why the struggle exists instead of how to move forward, they stay trapped in a loop that does not produce results. Acceptance breaks that loop, creates a foundation where responsibility replaces resistance and action replaces confusion. This mindset also builds inner maturity. It teaches that life will not always align with expectations, but strength comes from how one responds rather than what happens. When acceptance becomes a habit, challenges lose their power to completely destabilize a person. Instead of feeling like life is collapsing, struggles begin to feel like situations that require adjustment and effort. Over time, this perspective develops resilience, patience, and emotional intelligence, allowing a person to face future difficulties with a calmer and more grounded approach. Your inner voice becomes one of the most powerful forces in determining how you experience struggle. When life gets difficult, the mind naturally becomes louder, and unfortunately, it often turns against you. Thoughts start to appear that question your ability, your future, and even your worth. If left unchecked, this internal dialogue can deepen stress and make even manageable situations feel overwhelming. Strength in struggles depends heavily on how you manage this inner conversation. Positive self-talk is not about pretending everything is fine when it is not. It is about intentionally guiding your thoughts towards stability instead of collapse. When a difficult situation arises, the mind tends to focus on worst-case scenarios. It repeats failures, magnifies problems, and creates fear about what might go wrong next. This is where conscious replacement of thoughts becomes important. Instead of allowing destructive statements to run freely, you begin to challenge them with more balanced and supportive thinking. For example, when the mind says things are hopeless, you remind yourself that current circumstances are temporary and can change with time and effort. When it says you are not capable, you counter it by focusing on past moments where you handled difficulties before. This mental discipline takes practice, but it gradually reshapes how you respond to pressure. Over time, the brain begins to form a habit of resilience rather than defeat. The goal is not forced optimism, but realistic encouragement. You are not denying challenges. You are refusing to be controlled by fear-based thinking. Another important aspect is tone. The way you speak to yourself internally matters just as much as the words themselves. Harsh self-criticism increases emotional pain, while a calm and steady internal voice reduces panic and improves decision-making. In moments of struggle, you need clarity more than criticism. A supportive inner voice acts like a stabilizer, helping you think more rationally, even when emotions are strong. This process also influences motivation. When your inner dialogue is constantly negative, even simple tasks feel exhausting. But when your mind begins to encourage effort rather than punishment, you become more willing to take action. Confidence does not always come first. Often it is built through repeated self-support during difficult moments. Each time you choose a constructive thought over a destructive one, strengthen mental resilience and build emotional endurance that carries you through ongoing struggles when life feels overwhelming. The biggest mistake people make is believing they must solve everything at once. Struggles often appear like massive problems that demand immediate and complete solutions, and this perception creates pressure that leads to paralysis. In reality, progress during difficult times is rarely dramatic at the beginning. It is built through small, consistent actions that slowly rebuild stability and confidence. Taking small actions every day is a practical way to regain control when circumstances feel uncontrollable. Even when motivation is low and clarity is missing, doing something simple creates a sense of movement. This could be completing a basic task, organizing a small part of your routine, or focusing on one responsibility instead of the entire load. These actions may seem insignificant, but they send a powerful message to your mind that you are still capable of functioning despite the struggle. One of the most important effects of small actions is that they create momentum. When you stay inactive, the mind tends to amplify fear and doubt. Problems appear larger because there is no counterbalance of progress. But once you start acting, even in minor ways, you interrupt that cycle. Each completed task, no matter how small, adds a layer of confidence. That confidence becomes fuel for the next step, and gradually momentum begins to build. Small actions also reduce emotional pressure. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by everything at once, your focus shifts to what can be done right now. This shift is crucial because the present moment is the only place where real change happens. Struggles often feel unbearable when they are viewed as a whole, but they become manageable when broken into daily steps. Consistency is more important than intensity. Many people try to make huge changes in a short time, but struggle quickly drains that level of energy. What truly creates transformation is showing up repeatedly, even in imperfect ways. Progress may feel slow, but it is steady, and steady progress is what eventually leads to breakthroughs. Over time, these small actions reshape your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone stuck in a problem and start seeing yourself as someone who is actively moving forward despite difficulty. This shift in self-perception is powerful because it influences future behavior. When you prove to yourself repeatedly that you can take action in hard times, build resilience that remains long after the struggle has passed, the environment around you plays a far greater role in your emotional strength than most people realize. During struggles, your mind is already under pressure, and whatever surrounds you either adds to that pressure or helps reduce it. This is why choosing positive influences is not a luxury, but a necessity when trying to stay strong in difficult times. Human emotions are highly responsive to external input. The people you talk to, the conversations you listen to, even the content you consume daily shape your mindset in subtle but powerful ways. If you constantly expose yourself to negativity, criticism, or discouraging voices, your struggle will feel heavier than it actually is. On the other hand, when you stay connected to supportive and uplifting influences, your emotional load becomes more manageable. Positive influences do not always mean people who ignore reality or only speak comfort. They are individuals who acknowledge difficulties but still encourage growth, solution-oriented thinking, and patience. Being around such people helps you regain perspective when your own thoughts become clouded. Sometimes a single conversation with the right person can shift your mindset from hopelessness to clarity. Support systems also act as emotional grounding. When you are struggling alone, your thoughts can spiral because there is no external balance. Sharing your thoughts with someone trustworthy can reduce mental pressure and help you see situations more objectively. Even if they do not provide solutions, the act of being heard creates relief and stability. At the same time, it is equally important to limit exposure to negativity. This includes constant complaining, toxic comparisons, or environments where discouragement is normalized. Such influences slowly drain motivation and reinforce helpless thinking. Protecting your mental space is not avoidance, it is self-preservation during vulnerable periods. Your environment also includes what you consume digitally. Social media, news, and online interactions can either inspire or overwhelm you. Being mindful of what enters your mind helps maintain emotional balance. Choosing content that motivates, educates, or calms the mind can gradually strengthen resilience. Over time, surrounding yourself with positive influences builds internal strength. Begin to mirror the mindset you are exposed to, and your thoughts naturally become more stable and solution-focused. In difficult phases, this external support becomes a silent force that helps you stay steady when everything else feels uncertain. Learning how to stay strong in struggles is not about avoiding pain. It's about building the strength to rise through it. When you accept your situation, control your thoughts, take small actions, surround yourself with positivity, and trust the process, you become mentally unshakable. No matter how hard life gets, remember this: struggles are not the end of your story. They are the beginning of your strength